bring this month's meeting of Support Services Committee to order. I'll start with entertaining a motion to approve last month's meeting minutes. Motion made by, I think, Supervisor Sokol, second by Supervisor Weil. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Before we start with the Board of Elections, I want to just ask to say that we have actually kind of a packed agenda. So I would ask any questions or concerns or statements be limited to those that will affect your decision-making process, and anything for education be held off and kept separate from the meeting. Thank you very much, and now I'll start with Board of Elections. William and Beth.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, we're back on our electronic poll books, and as we've discussed them in the last few months, I think our numbers are finally, and I say that, I think our numbers are finally final
Fine-tuned.
from the state board as far as the grants that we're going to receive and the price tag that it's going to cost for the county. The good news is there'll be about $1,200 in reserves after we purchase the poll books. The bad news is it's a reimbursable grant where the county will have to purchase them first and being reimbursed by the state after they're purchased. So going through our agenda, as we look at the agenda, the first thing you're going to, the third sheet down, the first thing you're going to come to is something we sat with Supervisor Wild on that he had asked about and asked us to try out, and that was the e-poll books 219. And as you can see, separated into 4 boxes. It worked fairly well for this. It may not work for every program, as we talked with Supervisor Weil, but it did work for this program, showing the cost, the benefit, the risks, and the timing. Beth and I have emailed most of this to you. I hope you had a chance to review it beforehand. And that's, like I said, the third sheet down, e-poll books 219. It's broken up into a 4-block. I think you go back.
Second sheet.
So that, and it did. It was helpful to look and to show the supervisors why it was time to move forward with this now that we have our numbers together. If you go to your next page, you're going to look at our, it says amend at the top of it. Oh, I'm sorry. It says amend at the top of it because the original quote, what we thought was the final quote, came through at $83,989. And luckily for us, Tammy was reviewing it, and she goes, "You do realize there's no shipping in there," and we didn't. Beth and I had missed it. So we got a requote from them, which came, and it shows that amended sheet that it's going to be $86,887.
Thank you.
So I talked to Amanda, and that's something that I guess we can do and change and take care of in the final resolution as far as the amendment. But the next sheet is going to be the $14 million capital projects grant. And if you look at the second page of that, you'll see that Warren County is due to get $51,050 from that $14 million capital projects grant. We were a little concerned because the other grant is the $10 million localities grant program. In that program, we're getting a little over $37,000 for. We had some questions about the commingling of the 2 grants to make sure that they could be commingled to be used for the purchase of the electronic poll books. Speaking with Brenda Lubello, who is the Assistant Director of Operations at the Board of Elections, they confirmed it is commingling money as long as it's used toward the electronic poll books. And that's what all this money will be used toward, is the electronic poll books. Having said that, at the bottom of that $14 million, you'll see that our e-poll books, the first-year cost, including all equipment, training, and first-year software, will be $86,887. Now, I want to say that we have made arrangements with 10X through Chairman Loeb and through our administrator to go ahead and talk with 10X and give them a preset agreement that we would move forward as long as the supervisors approved it, but we wanted to start training our inspectors because they started last week to being trained, and they'll be going for the next 3 weeks to get their feet wet with this. We believe it's going to be an easier process, and I think most of everybody that looked at it liked what they saw. Instead of the big paper fallout poll book, you've got a little iPad.
Yeah, TENX sent us 8, so we could give about 15, 30 minutes quick training to our inspectors this past week and this week. We had a quick training on them, and then we will also see some more extensive training on our end, and we will bring our inspectors back in September to show them our policy and procedures on the e-poll books moving forward for early voting and election day.
And that $1,247 that's left over, as you see in the blue down there, can be used toward the training of those inspectors on those e-poll books. So with both grants taken out and the total grant awarded would be $88,134, we'd have a surplus of $1,247 that would be put and used toward training our inspectors on them. And we had our first seven classes this past week. And
Trained
the inspectors seemed to like them.
160.
They really seem to enjoy them. They caught on to them relatively quick. I mean, it's the type of an instrument where you put in the first 3 initials of their last name, the first 3 initials of their first name. You hit search, it finds the voter, and if it's it'll tell you right there, voter is in the right location, voter's allowed to vote. You flip the screen over, the screen flips on the other side, the person signs it. You flip it back over, each inspector signs it. They're checked in, they go get their ballot. And if they're not in the right location, it's stop, you got a problem here. There's a map on it that points out what the right location is, where they should be going. They have the ability to send a message on these e-poll books to the voter's phone, giving them directions on where to go to vote if they don't know where they're going. And to be quite honest with you, our inspectors grabbed it pretty quick. We were quite surprised on how quick they did grab it. They will still have, just so before the question comes up, what if they fail or what if something happens, they will still have their hard-copied list of voters that they'll be able to refer to if the system were to fail at that point. And we will have backups, a few backups at the office that our tech can run directly out if there's an issue with them. Other than that, we can try to answer any questions. Anything I missed that you can think of, or?
The report I heard was that the electronic poll books work very, very well. Nice.
Oh, they worked well for us, and the training that we did, people like them.
Any questions? Supervisor Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I recently read where Washington County has moved ahead with this, but they're getting less money than we are.
Correct.
How, are you aware of the same system or the same type of
exact
operation?
Same.
They can amend their budget to fit into that, so the budgets are pretty much based on
Voter population.
Voter population, registered voter population. Yep.
so.
And that's where we got, you'll see we had 90, they got 60.
Right.
We have a higher voting population. We have, they have a few more voting locations, but we have a higher population. You take West Glens Falls Firehouse, for instance, that has all of Ward 4 in it, also has Ward 2-4, it also has Ward 3-4. They have the potential I say, of 5,000 voters going through that firehouse. Will we ever, I'd love to see 5,000 voters go through it. Will we ever see it? Not a chance. But we have to be ready for something like that. And we're not buying for 5,000, we're buying enough to get us by there. And you cannot, and I think Supervisor Wild has asked us last time about being able to take those 8 that we got for training. Can we dump those and put them back on the street to be used at another location? TENX highly does not recommend you get rid of your training. It's a whole new module within the iPad that you have to put in there. They say leave those as your training instruments. That's what you'll have. So, and then last but not least, on the very bottom, I don't want to get out of poll books, what you've got on there with that calendar is you're going to see come November this year, those are our early voting hours that we're required to have by state law. You can see the increase of hours that it's going to put out there as well.
Supervisor Wild, did you have a question?
No, but I do have a comment, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. I appreciate what our leaders did at the Board of Election to help pull together that, what's called that 4-block piece of information. And hopefully we can do that when we have other non-mandated expenditures. It helped me, and I think it helped them, kind of go through a thought process of some of the risks and consequences and the timing. So I was happy that we were able to do that, and I want to just give them some kudos for taking some time to working with me.
Very good. Any other questions? We do have a motion we're going to need, or a resolution we're going to need to pass for this. So let me ask for a motion to resolution number 20 for the committee, to purchase and contract with 10X Software Solutions. That is the resolution, right? Okay. A motion made by Supervisor Wild, second, Supervisor Hogan. Further discussion or questions? Supervisor Leggett.
Sorry,
right.
I'm late here, and the amounts are the $86,877, and
Yes. Well, there's, that's the
I did
question.
amend,
Bill?
excuse me, Mr. Chairman, we did amend that resolution that we sent to you originally in the email. This is amended, and that's why we had put amend on that one. It went from 83, I forget, it was 83.9.
The shipping charges were not included in the first 83.
Right, so it's amended to show the true price of 86,887. That's the total price on the resolution, which would leave us a remainder of $1,247 on the grant.
yeah. So I can come in.
Further comments, questions, anxieties? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And quickly, Mr. Chairman, we did take the advice of the committee in reference to our licensing, which is a little over $11,000 per year. 10X did agree, and they will agree in the contract when we get it to send it to the attorney, that they will not start the license, even though we use their poll books for training right now, and we're going to use them in November for the general election. They will not start charging us our licensing fee until 2021. So for the remainder of this year, we will not be, that $11,000 will not be considered our first year. Our first year will start January 1st of 2020. So we won't see a licensing fee until January 1st of 2021.
Very good. Right.
Thank you, that's great. Good work on this. The grants, are those reimbursement grants? Do we get paid up front? Reimbursement.
Yeah.
So do we need to do a budget amendment? Do you have enough expense authority to do what you need to do right now?
We'll probably have to do.
We're going to have to move, we're not going to have that kind of money in our expenses, I don't believe.
Depending on when the bill comes in too, now our money is there right now, but come, October, November, that's when all our money gets spent.
Okay.
To our inspectors. We
Let's
can
talk,
look.
let's talk before finance, and we'll figure out if you need to amend your budget.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Board of Elections? All right, thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
Bill.
Thank you.
Next is, make sure I don't forget anyone, self-insurance. Yes, we did.
Craig, thank you for forwarding that. Why did it keep coming to you?
Did we did not vote? I guess, I thought we had voted on that motion second.
We tried to reach.
So the motion is second, is on the table to vote on this resolution. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Really?
I thought we did. We did.
We did.
No.
We voted again.
No, we didn't. Okay. Well, it's solid. Either way. Amy, good morning.
The only item I have on my agenda today is for information only. It's the 2020 self-insurance plan participant assessment. This is the amount that's charged out to the municipalities that are part of the workers' comp plan. The process for this is the budget team reviews my overall number, which is $2,293,475. Then it is allocated out among the plan participants or municipalities based on the formula in the local law. This represents a decrease to the participants about 114,000, a little over 114,000, which is about 8%. We're seeing our claims are trending downward, our severity is trending downward. As you know, I report to you frequently about the activities we do with safety, and I think that's what we're seeing is some good returns there. What the packet that I've given you, and I'll accept any questions, but I don't want to take a lot of your time, on page, the back of the agenda is the formula. Basically, 40% is an administrative base cost, and then 60% is based on claims. So you'll see some fluctuations among the municipalities because of their claims. The numbers, if you are doing a municipal budget that you're concerned with, are on page 2 and 3 in the column underneath the arrow. That's the number that goes into your budget so that you can process that payment in January to us. I'll take any questions.
Because of the complexity, I would, there is no resolution to be approved here, but ask questions because there's a lot going on here. Supervisor Wild.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I don't see Queensbury anywhere in here, is there?
Queensbury is not a part of the Warren County Self-Insurance Plan. They purchased their coverage elsewhere.
Other discussions? Supervisor Leggett.
Right, so if we look across this, then the total assessment for 19 and 22.
The grand
There
total?
is- Yes, or no, it's just on the town.
Okay.
Some 20 is higher than 19, but overall it went down, did you say?
Correct. Correct. You'll see some fluctuation among the municipalities. It really depends on claims and payroll figures into there. Overall, the plan went down, but there will be some municipalities that go up and more that go down more than others. I invite anybody that has a question about their assessment, just give me a call and we can go through the losses, claims details off the record, obviously.
Amy, what is the reserve you have in your account?
The contributive reserve on cash on hand is $1.171 million. And then there's money put away for the outstanding liability. So in a sense, that 1.17 is cash. I don't want to say extra, but it's there in case we really need it, in case we haven't planned for our cases as we think we are doing and whatnot.
Any other
It's
questions?
known as a healthy fund.
Good, and kudos to you for getting it that way. Any other questions for Amy? Okay, thank you very much, Amy.
Thank you.
And now, County Clerk?
Supervisor, if you'd like to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Should we relay here?
I know who that is. I was wondering. Just got a text from the town clerk. Gail has no respect whatsoever for that
Okay.
opinion.
All right, very good. Okay.
Thanks to her.
Thank you so much,
Good morning.
Good morning, Pam.
Okay. This past June, the late John Austin, former county judge and family court judge, passed away. And as you may know, he was also a nationally recognized historian and also genealogist, known throughout the states for his expertise. With his passing, Warren County received word that there was a special bequest going to the county historian / county clerk in the county of Warren. The bequest represents the historical and genealogical library of John Austin, and we of course are very honored that he thought of us in this regard. John and I worked very closely together over a number of years. In addition to the volumes and the collection itself, it does include a $5,000 request, additional cash donation for the care of this collection and the housing of it. The collection will be housed in the Records Storage Center and will be available to the public, of course, following the same policy and procedures that we have for everything down in the Records Center. But so at this time, what we're presenting to you is the resolution for the Board of Supervisors to accept the bequest. This is also, I should note that the historian Stan and I also met with Mary on this as well, and we discussed the various steps that we needed to take with it. So we appreciate her guidance. We also appreciate Mary as well sent us a gift acknowledgement that is being sent to the executor for John's estate and will be completed and returned to us. That is the item before you, the resolution to accept the bequest, and then we'll second that with a budget amendment that we will do to accommodate both the receipt of the funds and then the appropriation that will occur during the months following.
Okay, so I'll ask for a motion for the resolution to accept the bequest from the estate of John Austin. Motion made by Supervisor Leggett, second by Supervisor Sokol. Questions? I have a question. Could you just spend 30 seconds or however, what is the actual value you see in this? And I premise that by saying we have a lot of people who come to Crandall Library saying, oh, my loved one has this wonderful collection, won't you accept it and put it on your shelves? So the value there is their loved one, but there's actually no value in what they're giving us. I'm sure there's value here, but I just wondered if you could elaborate a little bit.
Judge Austin actually studied, researched, and more than 7,000 families in Warren County and around, because our counties are contiguous and people come from wherever. But that in itself is, a gold mine of information. We do have a large group of people that do come to Warren County anyway for our primary source records. Having a manuscript collection like this is pretty unequaled. We will be obviously doing a full inventory of it and addressing it as what is most appropriate for Warren County as well. So we definitely, and that was also something that was in John's, from our many discussions when he was even historian here after he left the bench, he definitely wanted the parts of it to come here. There is much to his collection, well beyond what actually we're even seeing. It goes well beyond here, and that will be handled separately by the estate. But specifically, the records and the resources that he went to every day. John's birthday was was May 31st. And shortly, a few days after we received, Stan Samprano, our county historian, came down and he said, I really had a nice note. And there were some electronic records that we had from Judge Austin, and we were able to utilize some of those records as well. She was doing Mayflower, and John was noted in the Mayflower Society for his knowledge, and utilizing some of these resources, she gained acceptance into that society. So I sent a note to him. I did not know at that point in time really where he was in terms of his health. I knew, of course, it was declining, but you never know. So we did send out a note to Judge Austin, wishing him a happy birthday and just letting him know that his work continues, and it will continue here in Warren County as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Supervisor Leggett.
Thank you, Chairman. So the $5,000 sets for an ongoing maintenance as well as the buying of the shelves?
It'll be for the shelving. That'll be most of it, and then if there's additional that's needed, I spoke with the county treasurer, with Mike Swan, and also Tammy DiLorenzo. So, whatever's left will be put in a reserve. We'll know that by the end of the year, and whatever is necessary. If it needs additional cataloging, that might be a you know, something that might go beyond what we could do on a timely basis, let's just say.
Thank you.
Okay. No other questions? Let's vote. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
And I thank you. There was one other, Supervisor?
Right.
Do we need the budget amendment resolution?
At this time? Yes.
I do have it proposed here.
It's next.
Okay? So we also, in addition to accepting, the budget amendment represents the county historian revenue account, 7510-1271, for the revenue of $5,000 John Austin bequest. The appropriation account is 7510-220, that would be equipment, and as I mentioned, we'll put the 5,000 in there. We'll address the shelving for the collection, and any amount left over will go into a reserve, and we'll set that up at the appropriate time.
Okay, motion to approve this amendment. Supervisor Leggett, second. Supervisor Hogan. Questions, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
And that concludes my agenda for today.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pam.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Be great addition.
Gary, you're up there.
Okay, so my first action agenda item is to change some of the appointments to the Warren County Soil and Water Board. There are going to be 2 resignations. Supervisor McGowan is resigning and Tim Costello. I'm going to have to amend okay, so first we have to amend Resolution 17 of 2019, and that's just to change Supervisor Thomas's appointment. The law says that supervisors can only be appointed for annual terms, so we just needed to shorten his term until the end of this year. So that would be the first motion.
Supervisor Leggett made the motion, second by Supervisor Weil. Questions, discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
The second motion would be to accept Supervisor McGowan's resignation, which would be effective August 15th of this year.
Motion to accept Supervisor McGowan's resignation. Supervisor Leggett's motion, second, please. Supervisor Hogan, questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Third would be to accept Tim Costello's resignation, which would also be effective August 15th of this year.
I'll ask a motion for accepting Tim Costello's. Supervisor Leggett, second by Supervisor Weil. Questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Amanda.
What's that?
Looking for Amanda.
Amanda.
Can we do the appointments in one?
Yeah.
Okay. And the last resolution regarding this would be just to appoint 2 new members, Michael Greenslade and Susan Wilson, which their appointments would be effective August 16th of 2019. Michael Greenslade's term would be August 16th, 2019 to December 31st of 2019, and Susan Wilson's would go through December 31st, 2021.
Okay, motion made by Supervisor Leggett, second by Supervisor Driscoll. Questions, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Okay, so those are all my action items. The next 2 discussion items have to do with settlement of Warren County versus King and settlement of McNulty versus Warren County, and I would ask for an executive session for those.
Okay, motion for executive session by Supervisor Hogan, second by Supervisor Driscoll. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. We're now in executive session. questions or votes were taken during the session. Now we'll, Mary, does the county attorney have anything else?
I don't have anything other agenda items. I do want to let you know I did hire a first assistant county attorney, and he will be starting August 12th, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Very good. All right, without anything further from the county attorney, the last is Amanda, the county board of supervisors clerk.
I just have a request for a transfer of funds, that's on the back of your agenda page, and that's to move money for hospitalization and dental insurance for the budget officer position. The money is under the legislative board on the supervisor's column, and it needs to be moved over to the budget officer side.
Motion made by Supervisor Leggett. Second, please, Supervisor Hogan. Questions, discussion? All right, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Anything else, Amanda? Anything else to come before the Support Services Committee? Comments from the public, of the supervisors? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion made by Supervisor Wild, second, Supervisor Hogan. Thank you very much. Discussion? All in favor?
Supervisor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you very much, folks.
Coffee.